I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Thursday, January the 7th, brought to you in part by Norfenicol by Norbrook, a broad spectrum antibiotic for bovine respiratory disease complex. It's easy to use, not as thick as some products that are similar, got a plastic hanger bag that won't break and easy to handle there at the chute, and a shorter sub-Q withdrawal period. For more information, go to norbrook.com. The worst case scenario happened on Wednesday. We lost both of the Senate races to the Democratic side. So now your Democrats and they're a lot more liberal and a lot more left than they've ever been before, are in charge of both houses of Congress and going to be in charge of a White House too. We're likely to see huge minimum wage hikes. We're going to see a lot of things. For many of us that have conservatism running through our veins, it's going to be a hard pill to swallow. But that's the way it is, guys. I guess we can't change it. And as unhappy as we are with the election results, we have to go forward. But then we had a big contingency of protesters in Washington, D.C. They rushed the Capitol. They had some violence involved, and it wasn't good. And it kind of showed that the crazies on the right are no better than the crazies on the left. And we hated to see that. Recording this here late Wednesday afternoon, early evening. Not sure how much violence is going to happen. I hope the other side doesn't come out on the streets once it gets dark. It could be a bad deal, but it is kind of egg on the face for the conservative side that thought we might be better than that, but evidently we're not, or the ones who are the most outrageous or is no better than that. But granted, a lot of us can relate to the outrage that some of those right-wingers feel, but that doesn't make it right. And you can't go out there and do those things even though you'd like to, but it's not going to change anything, guys. And I will just say maybe one last thing about the election. I think I might have shared this in an earlier visit or a few months ago, but was visiting with my good friends. I'm up here in northwest Missouri. Was able to go to St. Joe Stockyards on Wednesday and see a lot of my good friends that I worked along with for so many years, and watch the sale there. It was an enjoyable time. But one of my previous neighbors in a real small community in northwest Missouri, he was kind of telling me his situation as far as the election went. But a small community, farming rural community of 1,200 people, he said on election day, he says, this friend of mine has lived there his entire life, and he's about 60 years old now, but he said, I go to the same place that I voted since I turned 18. He said, I go to that place. He said, I literally know every single person that's in line to vote. I know every person that's standing at the voting machines voting, and I know all the volunteers that are helping put the process on. I wait in line. I get there. It's my turn to vote. They asked me for my ID, even though they might have changed his diaper. Whenever he was a kid, he says, they asked me for my ID. I give them the ID. They check the ID. I sign my name. They check my signature. They give me a ballot. I go over, I vote, and I put it through the machine myself. Why can't we do that everywhere? And then we won't have people that are questioning the vote and whether it was a fair result or whatever. We don't have to wait for a big dump in the middle of the night, likely after they found out how many votes they need to surpass the level they're trying to reach. But it's very frustrating, and I think maybe something we can work towards as we go forward is trying to get the elections more fair and easier to kind of process and get the results right away, instead of all this crap that we've been going through here that leaves people feeling like they've been cheated, whether or not they have or not. I guess we can't prove that for sure, but it is very, very frustrating. But likely with the results of this election here this year, it is going to be a long time before we have conservative leaders in a high enough spot. we're going to support the few that we have out there, and not enough to overtake some of the left agenda that we're going forward. But that's the results, and a lot of us in agriculture, production agriculture for sure, we feel like we didn't really get our say. Well, it kind of makes me feel about the guys that I know that are in the cattle business in Northern California. And, they never really get a say. As frustrated as they are, that's where their land's at, that's where they're from, that's where they make their living. And I hate it for those guys, but it's kind of a tough deal. But let's talk about the results of the activities that went on Wednesday. Your stock market evidently wasn't too upset about the results of the election. It was up 438 points there, and kind of came back from the losses that it had earlier in the week. Your board was down some on your cattle futures, up some on your grains, but we still saw some pretty decent cash markets around, albeit lower on feeding type bigger, heavier yearling cattle and feeding type calves for sure. Let's look at the board on Wednesday. February live cattle futures down a nickel at 115 even. We're still looking at a market that's trying to hold $1.12. We saw the Texas cash pool sell at $1.12 on Tuesday. We saw a few more trickles of maybe just a couple of loads sell at 112 in the Southern Plains. That's the market, guys, and if you can get the 112, you're probably going to be as good as you can get. You might as well pull the plug and hope we can get it before the board falls even more, or we have more uncertainty and upheaval and everything that's going on. But $1.15 on your spot live cattle futures market. April up 17 cents at 119.27. Going out from there on your out fronts, and they were down 60 cents. And that was that one that's way out there, the farthest out, that's really not even being traded. June of 22. We saw it down hard earlier in the week, but there's not enough play in that to really be able to test it, but it is out there and it is shown on your board. But more nearbys in your out fronts were up as much as 67 cents. January feeder cattle down 90 cents at 135.77. At 135.77, and we're in January, is just about par to where your index levels are trading here, with a lot of big heavy feeding calves that are pulling down on the market. And of course the grains going up every day don't help things any. March feeder cattle down 85 cents at 136.57. Going out from there, and they were down 45 to down 75. And we talked about these grains. We've been thinking that we're going to see a 5 on the front figure for corn. We're getting right there, guys. March corn on Wednesday was up 3 1/4 cents at $4.95 a bushel. Getting up there pretty high, guys, and that is changing the whole complexion of this cattle feeding deal. We haven't seen that high grains for quite a while, several years, and it is really making everybody wonder about the cost of gains. January beans up 50 cents this week, guys. We've been talking about them getting into the teens. I'll tell you what, they're at $13.65 1/4 for January beans on Wednesday, and a lot of people are looking at $15 or maybe better, but man, they've really gone up a bunch, and I can't tell you how much different it makes things. It makes things different on your weights of cattle. The heavier those cattle are, in fact, the more they'll bring per pound, because it's costing not as much as they're worth, but you're looking at cost of gains that are going to be around $1 now, guys. We've been talking about, if you do it yourself, farmer feeders, maybe 65, 70 cents. I don't know. You got opportunity costs there too, and you got to figure that in. Your cost of gains aren't going to be that cheap. I don't care if it is your grain. You could do something else with it. And, at your big commercial feedlots, they're sure looking at cost of gains 90 cents or better here going forward. Especially getting the Southern Plains, and you're a long way from those big bins of corn. And it's going to cost something to feed those, and we don't have that much byproduct because, due to the COVID earlier in the year, we've got a lot of our ethanol plants shut down still. We're not seeing as much residue come out of there that we like to use to feed because it's a lot cheaper, and it's not cheaper anymore, and it's really going down big. But I'm going to give you guys some quotes on feeder cattle at the end of this report, and you're going to think, gosh, I don't guess anybody's scared about these grain prices or $5 corn, because I mean some monster prices come out of some premier sales on Wednesday. Look at your fat cattle trade, which is still very, very limited. Didn't see hardly anything trade on Wednesday. Haven't seen a lot trade. We did see that Texas cash pool on Tuesday at right at $1.12 there, or 112.03. It wasn't reported that way. I'm not sure why that didn't jibe, but still, you know, that's pretty close. 112.03 or 112. Had a couple loads, and that was in Texas only, and didn't have any trade really on there for Wednesday. That was actually a late Tuesday trade, didn't get turned in till Wednesday. Kansas had a couple loads at 112, and that was somebody traded those. So, you know, if that market's out there, guys, you might better take that. Nebraska didn't have any confirmed sales. Had a couple loads of confirmed sales in Iowa at $1.10. Box beef cutout values dipped lower again on Wednesday. Choice was down hard on Tuesday. Choice cuts Wednesday afternoon, 205.27, down 63. Selects down 41 cents at 196.08. Our slaughter is being pretty disappointing. We thought they would really crank the chain speeds up here to start the new year, because they've got a lot of product sold out front here, but not showing it so far here for the first full week of 2021. 347,000 through Wednesday. That's down 5,000 from last week, down 21,000 from the same week a year ago. What else is going on? Be sure to get on to WVM Cattle or DVAuction.com, because we got a Western video auction going on Thursday. Got a pretty good run on there. Going to have a lot of lightweight, hard calves there, grazing type calves, and we have seen some moisture out in California. This is their grazing season right now on grass, guys, and they've been so dry. But talking to some friends of mine out there, and said kind of the top third of the state is in decent shape because they've had enough moisture there, and then that should change the markets, because they've been having a hard time selling them lightweight stockers, but this should sure change things. Also Ellington Peak there, which you know, he's a Western video market, but also his home-based sale barn there at Shasta Livestock. I like to call it Merle Haggard Commission Company there, Cottonwood, California. He's got a big sale coming up Friday and going to have a big run, and you can get on that on dvauction.com, view and bid that sale also too there out in Western California. Don't forget, Joplin Regional Stockyards has got their weanback special, and that's going to be that's going to be on Thursday all day. They're going to have about 7,000 head, and then immediately following that, they're going to have primetime video. You can view and bid both of those sales at dvauction.com, or you can get on to Primetime Livestock for the video portion there of that sale. But there's going to be some really nice packages of cattle there, bigger lots, more uniform, mostly black hided there at Joplin at the Weanback Special. And don't forget about that sale. Thursday night, they're going to have a replacement cow special there at Callaway Livestock Center. That's an evening sale on Thursday. You can view and bid that sale on dvauction.com. How about your feeder cattle market on Wednesday? Your real-time index on DV Auction in the afternoon on Wednesday. Doing this a bit earlier than I normally do it, because I got a cattlemen's meeting after the sale at St. Joe Stockyards, and that's always fun. But 136.04 on your real-time index. That's up 8 cents. Not necessarily because the markets were that much better on Wednesday this week, but we've dropped some of those prices that on those holiday sales that weren't really all that great. We lost that Good Monday sale from Callaway a week ago Monday, earlier in the week, as they drop off the 7-day average. And then we got to some sales markets that were trying to have sales middle of the week last week during the holidays, and they weren't all that great. So up 8 cents. You can take that for what it is, but it's basically steady. Look at your big sales on Wednesday. OKC West, El Reno, Oklahoma, 8,400 head there. Your feeders $1 to $4 lower, but they did mention it was an active market with good demand, albeit at lower price levels. But that's just the way it is. When your board dumps that hard early in the week and your grains are steadily higher, you're going to lose your price levels on your bigger feeder type cattle. But calves $1 to $4 higher, especially on your stocker type calves there. Going to give you several quotes here. One out of the sale that I attended on Wednesday, St. Joe Stockyards, had about 2,200 head there for first sale, or actually Actually, they had a sale last week, but the first big sale of the new year. Storm kind of killed them last week, but the hawk cattle there sold by Bose & Penny commission firm, 62 head, 646 pound steers at $155. That's a pretty impressive quote there, but a lot of the smaller bunches and uneven type cattle were sure off the market a little bit there at St. Joe. How about some big heavy feeding type cattle? And these guys aren't scared of $5 corn. Stockman's Livestock, Yankton, South Dakota, 105 head, 958 pound big feeding steers, 136.75. That's higher than your index on an 800 pound smooth steer, guys. Some other big impressive quotes. Sydney Livestock Marketing Center in Sydney, Montana. We've just been getting their information the last several weeks here, but my gosh, way up in Montana, they're usually selling a bit back of your 5 area there, but not on Wednesday. 100 head, 683 pound steers, 169.10. Wow. But they had a special at Bassett, Nebraska. Got to mention them. They're going to have a replacement special here this weekend too on Saturday. But Bassett Livestock, 4,700 head there. You look at this automated market report that I pulled off Cattle Market Central. You can see your best tested weights there are on bigger type calves there. But very impressive. And these are on all the cattle that they had there in those weight groups. 1,100 head of 5-weight steers, average 559, 173.59 on the average. Be hard pressed to get your best consignment in a sale barn sold at that anywhere else. How about 1,322 head of the 6-weight steer calves, average 643 at 158.75 on the average. And then your best tested weights of heifers, 531 head of 6-weight heifers, average 629, 147.50. That's steer price most anywhere else. I grabbed several top quotes out of Bassett. I know it's not fair, but life's not fair, and this is what they bring. 109 head Pee-wee steers in Bassett weigh 468, 205.50. How about 90 head 540 pound steers in Bassett, $180 smooth. How about 98 head of 600 pound steers in Bassett, bring 174, and they had a 6 as a front figure on the scoreboard, guys. But 80 head 621 pounders in Bassett bring 165.50, and then your Zach Tran top quote for the day, 70 head 819 pound steers Bassett, Nebraska, bring 149.25. That's your feeder flash for Thursday.